Welcome to BEFM Drama. As you know, this season we're premiering brand new radio plays inspired by the 22 books that Charles Dickens wrote as sequels to A Christmas Carol, but that the world quickly forgot about. We're basing this week's episode on Tom Tiddler's Ground. It's a story about a man who visits a hermit and shares stories of the outside world to try and convince him to leave his rundown shack. There are a lot of stories, so we'll be adapting them over the next few episodes. On today's show, we're covering Picking Up Soot and Cinders by Charles Dickens and Picking Up Evening Shadows by Charles Collins. In our story, the visitor telling the stories is our main character, Goblin, who has just lost his partner. Please enjoy BFM Drama's production of The Hermit's Horrors.
I woke up at home, alone, feeling terrible. The night before, I'd gotten into a huge fight with my partner. I ended our friendship. I burned my uniform. I walked off my job. I abandoned my ambulance. I thought, finally, it's all over. No more emergencies. No more all-night shifts. No more partner pestering me. Finally, I would have a quiet night alone with my thoughts to figure out what I was going to do next. I wasn't going anywhere. Until the phone rang. It was my boss. He told me I was late for work. I asked him, "Are you joking? You still want me to come in? After what happened yesterday?" He explained they were short-handed. They needed bodies in seats. They needed paramedics on the streets. I had a week left on my 2 weeks' notice, so he expected me behind the wheel. I gently explained that it might not be a good idea for my partner Fern and I to work together anymore. Fern had told him the same thing. He was already out to work with a new partner. He asked me to partner up with a new kid, first day on the job. I figured I could do this one last thing before I left. Show the new kid the ropes so that he didn't make the same mistakes I did. I didn't really feel like building a whole new relationship with a new partner when I was already on my way out the door. But at least I could be a mentor to him. I just hoped he wasn't as talkative as my last partner. So, why did you want to become a paramedic?
I don't know.
Okay. Any questions about the job?
Nope.
You, playing a phone game there?
Yep.
Okay. I wonder how tonight's gonna go. Okay.
21 bars.
That's us. We're in 21 bars today.
I know how radios work.
Okay, go for 21 bars.
Head to the Tiddler building. One of the residents has been missing for a couple of months, and we've got a report of strange smell coming from his apartment. They just kicked down the door, and it isn't pretty.
We're on our way. Sounds like we've got a hermit on our hands.
What are we supposed to do about a dead hermit?
Well, I don't know if you've ever smelled an apartment where something like that has happened before, but I sure have, and it can make everyone in the building sick.
Sounds nasty.
It did, as my partner so succinctly put it, sound nasty, and it smelled even worse. When we walked into the lobby, we could already smell it, and the apartment was on the 6th floor. I took the stairs. I met the landlord outside the room. He'd been feeling sick ever since they kicked down the door. We took him outside for treatment.
I just feel so lightheaded. That room was so gross.
You're gonna be fine.
Poor Mr. Mope.
Is that your tenant?
Yeah. No one noticed that he was sick. The guy's lived in an apartment for nearly 40 years and he's never once gone outside. We didn't know anything was different. Until the smell.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
No one knows why he locked himself away in that room. He's never talked to any of us. But there's rumors. Some say he's atoning for some long ago sin. Some say he's hiding from the mafia. Some say he lost his family and swore never to love again. Others say he was born at sea and never acclimated to being out in the world. Whatever it was, I can't believe the state it led him to.
You did everything you could. I'm just glad you're okay.
I'm feeling better now, thanks. But I'm confused.
Yeah? What's wrong?
Why are you spending so much time treating me?
Aren't you the one who called us?
Well, yeah, but not to check on me, but on Mr. Mope.
The Hermit?
Yeah, I never got far enough into the apartment to check on him.
I guess we'll go check on him. Come on, new kid.
I'll wait in the car.
You mean ambulance.
Whatever.
We're supposed to go up together.
Stinks in there.
It's part of the job.
All they can do, fire me?
Yes.
Didn't you abandon your ambulance outside the building you burned down yesterday?
Yeah.
And didn't they just finish repairing that ambulance after you dropped the tree on it?
Yeah.
And don't you still have a job?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
I couldn't argue with that. I headed into the building and walked up the stairs. Halfway up, I found some old newspapers to wrap around my face to try to block out the smell. But they had already been sitting in the stench, and it just made things worse. I got to the doorway and tried to go inside, but the way into the apartment was blocked by a collapsed mountain of old newspapers. I tried to kick them aside and just woke up a nest of rats. A herd of feral cats chased the rats out into the hallway. The sound of dozens more cats yowling and hissing filled the room. I didn't want to take another step, but the faster I found the tenant, the faster I could call the coroner and get out of there. It was a hoarder house. The apartment was filled floor to ceiling with every scrap of paper, cardboard box, unwashed can, jar, or bottle the man had ever used. It took a while, but I made it to the living room and found the man, melted into his recliner. I couldn't imagine how long he'd been there. His skin was a sickening shade of green. I'm no priest, but I bowed my head to pay my last respects. But then, I heard a voice.
Hey! What are you doing in my house?
Yeah! You're alive!
Of course I'm alive! Why wouldn't I be?
Well, your legs look like they were half eaten by cats.
Oh, Mr. Whiskers, he was just a little hungry, and I ran out of cat food.
Okay, I'm here to rescue you.
From what?
From this whole thing.
Get out of my premises!
I'm not giving this room the dignity of the word premises, but I need to get you to a hospital right away.
I'm not leaving. I never leave this room.
Well, today's the day. I'd rather cart you out of here on a stretcher than in a body bag.
I suppose you want to know why I choose to live like this.
Nope, not really.
Well, I won't tell you. I will never tell anyone. And I will not even be asked that.
Certainly not by me. I could not care less.
Well, you're an uncouth man.
And you're another.
You look like a jerk.
You look like a screen-used Walking Dead prop that they edited out for reruns because it was too upsetting to viewers. You look like the mummy the museum sent back because it made all the kids cry.
I do feel a little off now that you mention it. I'll take some antacids or something.
I don't think that's gonna cut it.
What do you care?
I've got to do something. Please let me take you to the hospital and see if there is anything I can do.
You don't care about me? You didn't even ask why I lead this solitary life.
What do you care if I care? You can't want me to both not ask and care. I'm here to treat an illness. It doesn't matter to me how you got it.
Well, you could care a little bit.
Fine. Why do you live this solitary life?
I won't tell you.
Okay.
But I appreciate you asking.
Right.
But never ask again.
Got it. Now, about this hospital.
It's been 40 years since I've been in the outside world. Since I've seen another person. What does this hospital have to offer me that my home does not?
Medical treatment.
I'll be fine. You just head on out of here. Do scoot that box of bean cans towards me, though, would you? I haven't been able to reach it for 3 days, and I'm getting awfully peckish.
I'm in this now. I can't leave until you leave. And I really want to leave. But I can't take you by force.
Oh, man. Oh, these good beans.
Are they supposed to be that color?
I don't know. I've had them since like 93, but cans last forever, right?
What is it going to take to get you out of here?
Tell me one good thing that you've done in the real world recently. Tell me about something that has brought you joy. You outsiders and your friends and loved ones. Do you have a story of joy and love or no?
The Peeping Tom.
You're going to inspire me with a story of a peeping Tom?
I was on the job. My old partner and I got a call that a man had fallen out of a tree in his front yard. He lived in a really nice house and had been climbing in the tree to spy into the window of the rundown apartment building across the street.
Wow, a story of a fine gentleman like that makes me want to get out there and see the world.
Again, I just want you to go to the hospital, not a package tour of the city. But this guy was just worried about his neighbors. He was this famous artist, an engraver, I believe, very successful, but worked so much that he never really got out into the world. Lived alone, had a family that he'd left behind. He worked all the time and made a lot of money, but he felt so lonely.
Wow, you know a lot about this guy's inner thoughts and backstory.
People always tell me their life stories. It's weird.
However, I will not tell you mine.
Still not asking. So, he used to sit by his window, and he'd always see these shadows on the blinds across the street. They were never open. He'd just see the silhouettes of the people inside. And he just kind of got obsessed and started romanticizing their lives together. He was so gripped by the fact that they had so little, so much less than he had, but they seemed so happy. He wanted to know how they did it. So he started watching them day and night, neglecting his work, missing all of his etching deadlines or whatever. I don't actually know what etchers do.
Well, they etch.
Sure. So he's watching this shadow play of a young couple in love. But then one day, they looked different. The man looked weaker, more hunched over. The woman looked more upset. She was doting on the man, preparing medicine. Then the man stopped coming by the window. Too sick to get out of bed, it seemed. Then the woman started looking sick. Another man in a uniform and long coat was showing up the building every day, and he figured that must be the family's doctor. The etcher ran out to meet him one day on his way inside the building. He asked, "Are they dying?" The man answered, "Yes." The etcher gave him an envelope full of cash and said, "Do everything you can. Don't tell anyone where the money came from." The man thanked him and went inside. The etcher kept watching for weeks, and the couple looked worse and worse. He even gave the man more money, thousands of dollars, but one day, he watched out the window, and the man in the uniform walked out of the building and threw some bottles in the trash. The etcher ran out to investigate them, and saw that they were all marked with the symbol for poison. This is when he began to suspect that the man in the uniform was not a doctor at all, but that he was the one poisoning the couple. He climbed his tree to try to get a better look in the window to see if they were okay. That's when he fell.
And you rescued him too, huh?
Nothing seemed broken, but I wanted to take him to the hospital just in case. But he wasn't interested. He wanted to take me to the couple's apartment to see if I could save them. He tried to show me what he meant, pointing up to the window. I squinted, but I didn't see. I could kind of make out a shape, but he said, "That's her. She looks upset." And I was like, "How can you tell?" And he said, "I've watched them for so long, I know their faces." Even though I couldn't make out any faces.
So, what did you do?
He convinced me. We rushed up the stairs, and he pounded and pounded on the door. No answer. So we kicked it open.
Were they alive?
No one was there. It was an empty apartment. There was an old laundry line near the window, and he'd seen the shadows of tattered old clothes flap in the breeze and fall down. He had so longed for companionship that he invented friends out of some shadows on the window blinds.
Yeah, but he didn't find friends. He was still alone.
Nope. There's still one more part to the story. The man in the uniform rushed in the room to ask what was going on. The etcher demanded to know what happened to the dying couple. He insisted that the man in the uniform had told him they were dying. The man in the uniform said, "I was talking about the bugs." He opened his coat to show that it was an exterminator's uniform. The poison was from going in the building every day to spray for bugs.
And then he became friends with the pesticide man?
No. But the pesticide man was very happy to be getting paid so much. And he did introduce him to the only person actually living in the building. The etcher's jaw dropped when the tenant walked out of the apartment to see what all the commotion was. It was his son that he had left behind so many years ago, all grown up. The son had no idea his long-lost father lived across the street. The etcher had no idea his son had fallen on such hard times. The father invited his son to move in with him to the fancy house, and they were no longer alone.
Well, did it all work out?
How do I know? I'm a paramedic, not a family counselor. I had to leave to go pick up a guy who drank paint.
Well, I am certainly not convinced. That story just sounds unpleasant, and I don't know if I want to go and live in a world filled with so much drama.
I can't force you to accept medical treatment. Do you really want me to leave you alone?
Well, I'm not going outside, but if you wanted, you could stay here and tell me more of your stories.
I knew I shouldn't have left the house today.
Now you're speaking my language.
Thank you for listening to BeFM Drama. This is just the beginning of the Hermit story. Goblin and Mr. Mope will be back in the next episode to continue the tale. This was The Hermit's Horrors, based on Picking Up Soot and Cinders by Charles Dickens and Picking Up Evening Shadows by Charles Collins from the book Tom Tiddler's Ground. This radio play was written by me, Ryan Estrada. It starred Sam Hazelton as Goblin, Kelly Brassbridge as Mr. Mope, Andrew Murphy as Dispatch, and me as the new kid and the landlord. Hidden Agenda is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech and released under Creative Commons Attribution License. Goblin's theme, Electric Silence, Alone Again, and Turning are by Unheard Music Concepts. There are still lots more tales from Tom Tiddler's Ground to cover. The next couple of episodes will cover Picking Up Terrible Company by Amelia B. Edwards, Picking Up Waifs at Sea by Wilkie Collins, Picking Up a Pocketbook by John Berwick Hardwood, Picking Up Miss Camines by Charles Dickens, and Picking Up the Tinker, also by Charles Dickens. You'll hear stories of chain gang prison breaks, mixed up babies, deathbed confessions, and Home Alone kids causing trouble. And of course, you'll find out what happened to Goblin and Fern. Are they really done being partners forever? I don't know. Stay tuned. Don't forget to listen to episodes of BeFM Drama on YouTube with subtitles. Just search BeFM Drama Goblin Stories. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time.